In trading, knowledge is power, and lack of knowledge in what you're doing can be costly, very costly. So you need a solid foundation of quality market education. Whether you're new to trading or a seasoned veteran looking to add advanced strategies to your arsenal, there's always something to learn and something to improve on. And now you can access the same knowledge that professional traders receive with Market Rebellion's Trading Education. I'm Bill Johnson, Head of Options Education here at Market Rebellion, and we've assembled a comprehensive curriculum based on decades of real trading experience, covering everything you need to know about trading options from beginner to advanced. We go way beyond the nuts and bolts of options theory to teach you how to apply specific trading strategies and the techniques needed to adapt your trades when markets shift. Regardless of your goals, you'll gain access to the education you need with easy-to-consume lessons so you can learn to trade with confidence, enhance your knowledge, and master the practical skills required for market success. So please join us for in-depth trading education only from Market Rebellion. Hey, good afternoon once again. Yes, it's that time again. Market Rebels for Coach's Corner. Stu, what's going on?
Coach's Corner. It's just yet another day in paradise,
It
Dr.
is
Bill.
another day in paradise here, and we're going to kick off with a little plug here, which we try not to do, but for our Lunch Crunch Q&A. So if you like topics just like this, we do this every day at Tuesday and Thursday at noon Eastern. They are recorded if you can't make the live classes, but we just have a fabulous group of people, lots of questions on topics just like this. We'll even do breakout sessions, and that's where a lot of these topics come from. But for today, Chalk Talk, let's start off with our thought-provoking question here, Stu. We've got open interest to 200. You with me so far?
Yeah.
100 contracts traded today.
Uh-huh.
Open interest is therefore 300 tomorrow. True or false?
Well, let's see. Let me go through this litany of questions. Well, let's see. 100 traded and then 100 traded. So 200 traded, but did 200 get bought or did 200 get sold?
You're exactly. This is the thought process that the retail traders don't understand because we hear this all the time. In fact, I remember back when I was on Active Trader where people call up and say, hey, you need to contact the SIBO. They made a mistake.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
I wrote it down. There was 200 yesterday. I go, okay, yeah, I believe you. And there's 100 yesterday. Say, yeah, I can see that. And they're showing that it's less than 300. I said, yeah,
Uh-huh.
but they don't understand why. So that can cause a lot of confusion for people. So let's talk about it. Where are these numbers coming from? And what exactly do they mean? So our topic is, of course, volume versus open interest. So let's start off with volume. What does that mean? Well, volume, it applies to stocks and options, and it simply shows how many shares or contracts traded today. So volume begins at 0 every day. The clock resets. But here's the thing to understand. Every trade counts towards volume,
Mm-hmm.
whether we're talking about stocks or options. Every single trade counts. So if you say buy 10 of these ABC May $100 calls, somebody says, I'm going to sell 10. We have to have a buyer matched with a seller. We would have a volume of 10.
Yeah. Yeah,
Now,
that's
here's
a big issue with people, right? Because they think 20 traded.
a lot of people think, and that's also a whole separate issue. People
Yeah, no,
think that
10
it's 20.
traded.
And I guess it's a matter of semantics. We could see it both ways. Yes, there were 10 on each side, but here's the way that the markets look at it. It takes a buyer and a seller to make one contract.
That's right.
You got to, so an example we use a lot in the Q&As, if you buy a house and somebody sells a house, did two houses get traded? No, it was one house. It just takes a buyer and a seller for that one trade. So here we've got 10 contracts. So we would say the volume was 10. But one key is to remember going forward, you always have to have a buyer matched with a seller. But we'll find out where there's a subtle twist to this.
And what happens if we don't have a seller for a buyer or a buyer for a seller?
You've got no
We trade.
you've got no trade.
Big trade, right? Nothing from nothing is nothing.
And that's actually where, theoretically, the market makers step in as a liquidity provider. They'll say, you know what? Nobody else is willing to do it. We'll do it.
You
So
know
it's
what?
kind of funny that everybody likes to bash the market makers, that it's us. I have to buy from the market maker. I have to sell to the market maker. That is not true. They're there as just kind of a backup system.
Liquidity providers. It's funny
Liquidity
that you say
providers.
that because if I don't know if it's still there, but when I first registered to be an ROT, registered options trader back in 1982, um, the job description on the PhilX's website
Mm-hmm.
said, your job is to make a fair and orderly
Or a
market.
fair and orderly market. That's right.
And that was my job.
That's exactly right. So there's volume. Key point so far, volume always counts. So now let's look at open or closing trades. Here's where we have to understand some more terminology. If you are opening a position, what that means is that you are increasing the size of a position. If you're closing it, you're reducing the size. Now, if you look at like the SIBO's website, they'll say you're either initiating a position or adding to the size of an existing position. So it sounds like two different definitions, but if you have 0 contracts and you buy one, did you increase? Yes, you went from 0 to 1. So there, I think they're trying to make it just a little more user friendly. But if you have 0 and you buy a call, that's 1 contract or 10 contracts, you've increased the size. That is an opening transaction. So if it's easier and you want to think of it that you're either initiating it, I went from 0 to something, or adding to the size, I've got 10 and now I bought another 5. Those are opening trades. Closing trades are just the opposite. You're either shaving off some of the existing contracts or completely going to 0.
Bill, this is a little weird because you could be initiating an order to close the position. Right? I'm
Well,
trying to
that's
sync
right, but
this with the
that's
SIBO. What
well, but that's you're reducing the size.
reducing the size, right?
Right. You're not initiating a position going from 0 to something.
So
If you're closing it, you obviously initiated it.
so it's initiating the position or
Is
initiating what?
Well, the SIBO will say if you are initiating a position, that's 1, or increasing the size of an existing position is 2. So I have no contracts and I buy
Initiating the position. Got it.
means that you're
Okay.
going from 0.
Right. You
I'm
can
just saying,
initiate a trade to close the position, but you're on the other side, you're initiating the position. Okay, I'm with you.
right. But in all cases, you're increasing or reducing the size. So that's what we
Yeah,
need to get
just
under.
just no, look, everybody, just know like are you creating a
Yes,
position or are you
correct.
closing a position?
Or increasing the size of an existing one.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Those are all going to be opening trades. If you're going in the other direction, they're closing. So here's another trick. Don't think that buy means open or sell means close.
Oh,
We hear this a lot too, even with covered calls. Well, I sold it. I sold my call to close. No, you bought it to close.
no, no, you didn't.
Yeah, exactly. They get that. They think that because they come from stock trading land, right?
We
Buy
just
was the
got
way
that
to
yesterday,
initiate.
didn't we? Somebody said that something about we were talking.
We hear it all the time. Yeah. So let's look at some examples here for open and close. So let's just say that we have no trades in this particular option. Now,
Mhm.
this is for long positions. We're going to look at opening and closing. So right now, I look and I have no contracts, and I buy 5. What have I done? You
Bought
could
five.
either use the SIBO's definition that I've initiated a position, or I think a simpler one is we've increased from 0 to 5. We've increased the size, so that has to be an opening trade. And how many is our platform going to show that we have?
Five.
5. It's going to show that you're long 5. Now, later on, things moving in our favor, or maybe it's not, and we want to average into it, and
Later
I
on.
buy another 2.
Mhm.
What is this? Well, notice that we are increasing the size of an existing position. I'm going from 5 to 7. So this has to be an opening trade.
Mhm.
The whole position is getting bigger. So now your broker's platform is going to show 7. We do trade number 3. We buy another 3 that is increasing the size. That's an opening trade. And now we have 10. Now let's say that we sell 6 of them. What are we doing? We're reducing the size of an existing position. That's a closing trade. And therefore, the broker's platform is going to show 4. So that's just to step through if you don't quite understand what it means to be an opening or closing trade. A lot of platforms still require you to check a little box or a drop down menu. Is this opening or closing?
Yeah, yeah, that's a carryover from the old days.
Thinkorswim does it for you automatically on the
Yeah, they
back end.
don't require to do that. But we always
But
had to do that, especially on short stock tickets.
that's
You always
right.
had to check it,
You
you
had to
know.
check it. Yeah, I think it's kind of good just as a backup system. But some platforms will say BCO, buy calls to open, or
Hmm.
SCC, sell calls to close.
Close,
This
yeah.
is what they're asking you to do. All right. So if you were on this one, you would be BCO, buy calls to open 3. And then if you did this one, you do SCC, sell calls to close 6. All right.
That's
So
what we
that's
do
open.
in our ICF when we put our description
Yes,
out
yes,
there.
very
Sell to
good. Yes, we
close,
do.
buy to open, buy to
That's
close.
exactly right. Just for clarity.
Yeah.
Now let's look at it from the short side. So let's say we have no short positions. Maybe we've got shares of stock we want to do a covered call.
Hmm.
We have no short calls. We sell 5.
Hmm.
Now notice I had none, right? I went from 0. So I have initiated a trade
Hmm.
or reduced the size of an existing one because I've gone from 0 to what? -5. So that's where it can get confusing. Mathematically, we've reduced. We've gone from 0 to -5. So we are selling to open. Now, later on, we decide to sell 2 more. What are we doing? We're
Oh,
increasing the size or the magnitude. That has to be another opening trade. Broker's platform is going to show that you are now short 7 contracts. Later on, whether it's minutes later, days, weeks, doesn't matter. We sell 3 more of these guys. We are increasing the size. That's an opening trade, and we've now gone to 10. So you can see, not counting the minus sign, we've gone from 5 to 7 to 10. It's getting bigger in terms of, you and I would look at it in terms of the deltas, that the magnitude of those deltas is just getting bigger,
just selling more options.
just selling more. Now we decide that we want to get completely out.
Yeah, because why? We can't take the pain
We
anymore?
we can't take the pain
Right.
anymore. So the broker's platform shows that we're short 10. That's what the minus sign means. We have sold something that was never in the account. It's an obligation. So now we say, I want to get out of this contract. I have to buy them. That must be a closing transaction. Why? Because we've gone from a number down to 0. That's a closing trade. Now, in the last one, I didn't take us to 0. What if we had bought back 3? Then this number would be -7. We just buy back 3 of those. So those are opening and closing. All right, now that we got that out of the way, now we can understand open interest, because here's where the confusion comes in. Open interest only applies to derivatives. That's why it's a little weird for people coming from a stock trading background. And it requires a buyer and a seller to create a contract, as we said. Here's the catch. Open interest shows how many contracts are currently in existence or open for delivery. If expiration were right this second, how many would be eligible for delivery? Okay, so that's another way to kind of understand it. Now, for the mechanics of it, how does this thing change? So remember that all trades have a buyer and a seller. This is going to be really important, and you'll see why in a moment. You have to have a buyer and a seller. But the open interest increases when the buyer and seller are both opening. As you're going to see that's not true. They don't both have to be opening. But in order to have the trade match, you need a buyer and a seller, but you do not need them to both be opening. You don't need them to both be closing. You just need a buyer and a seller. That's where the confusion comes in. Now, the open interest decreases when the buyer and seller are both closing. And then it remains unchanged if one trader is buying and the other is selling. So I know it can get confusing. That's why there's lots of questions on it. Let's look at an example. So let's say that we have, these are all the traders who are currently open a position. They've either bought to open or sold to open. They are part of the pool. We often call this our liquidity pool. These are all of the traders who are currently have open positions. Now we have a new guy comes over here, in this case, new girl comes in and says, I'm going to buy to open. Well, if she gets paired with somebody who is sell to open, which remember is not required. The first B and the first S right here is a requirement. You have to have a buyer matched with a seller. It's this last letter that's a wild card. That does not have to be true. They do not both have to be opening. Now, in this example, just so happened, just by randomness, they were both opening. So what happens now, Stu? We have added to the pool of our liquidity. They now get added to open interest.
The open interest would go up in this case.
Would go up in this case. Now, let's say that this girl right here is wanting to sell, and this person wants to buy.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the pool. So what are they doing? They're closing. So it just so happens, again, by chance, that they're both closing. It's not a chance that we have a buyer and a seller, but it's just by chance, trades coming in and going. We happen to patch two of them together who are closing. What happens? They're going to leave the pool. It's as if they're taking up those contracts and shredding them up as if they never existed. Now, what's left? Profit or losses depending on the prices, but the contracts are gone. And then finally, what if we do this? What if we have somebody who is buying to open, maybe wants to initiate a brand new position or adding to the size, and it just happens to get matched to somebody who is selling to close? What happens now? Now we have an opening and a closing transaction. They're effectively just swapping places. It's like this person saying, here, you take my spot. So if we have an opening matched with a closing, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, listen, everybody, the contract structure of what's going on out there, nothing happened. Somebody came in, somebody went out. That's it.
That's it. Net number of people in here is the same. So again, I know it can get confusing. Let's look at an example. So we have open interest. You look on your broker's platform, let's say today, it shows the open interest. Now remember, this is for a particular month and strike. Open interest is 200. Now you know what that means. But let's say from today we have 3 trades. I'm doing this just to make it easy. There could be thousands, but the math is the same. Trade number 1, we have somebody who's buying to open and selling to open, 20 contracts. Now remember, what did we say? Buyer has to be matched with a seller. But this is not necessarily true. They do not both have to be opening trades. But because they were, open interest increased by 20. Now this will not get reported until tomorrow by the OCC, but this is what they're tracking. Trade number 2, we have a buyer matched with a seller. That always has to be true. Here's our wild card. The OCC says, oh, just by chance, both of these people were closing. 10 contracts. So that's as if we just completely eliminated those contracts. The open interest decreases by 10. Trade number 3 for the day. Again, we have a buyer matched with a seller. Notice that's always true. This is where the open interest is determined. And you can't say, not that it would even matter, but I want to be matched with somebody who is, it's just a buyer and a seller. So again, this is what I call it just a wild card. In this case, it was somebody opening matched with somebody closing with 70 contracts. So what happens here? That does nothing to open interest.
It's like the guy on the comes out to the football field and taps the guy on the shoulder and says, "You're out. I'm in."
I like that. Exactly. The same number of people on the field. Right. I like that. So what the OCC does now, again, I did 3 just to make the example shorter. If it were 1,000, it's the same math.
Same thing.
OCC is going to say I have plus 20 minus 10, which is a net what? 10. With a matched 0 is 10. Now, what's our volume? Remember, volume always counts. The OCC says, well, we had 20 plus 10 is 30 plus 70 is 100. They're going to say, yes, we had 100 contracts traded, but what's the net open interest? 10, right? Plus 20 minus 10 plus 0.
Wait, where did we start with open interest?
200.
200, right? So we started with 200 and it changed by 10. So now your new open interest the next day
is 210.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
And so traders are going to say, but wait a minute, there were 100 traded.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to see this number and say open interest should be 300. See, they're not understanding what you're counting. You're not counting volume, you're counting open interest. Now, let's say the next day, so our open interest is what? 210.
Anytime.
Now the next day, same thing. Somebody buys to open 60, sells to open 60. They are both opening. That increases open interest by 60. We have a buy to close for 70, matched with a sell to close for 70. That decreases by 70. And then we have a buy to open for 100, sell to close for 100, as if nothing changed. So now the OCC says if these are only 3 trades, let's say plus 60 minus 70 is what? Minus 10. On a net basis, we have destroyed 10 contracts. Now, what's the volume? We have 60 plus 70 is 130 plus 100 is 230. They're going to report a volume of 230. But what's the open interest tomorrow? Remember, we were at what? 210. But now people go, hold on, something is wrong. I saw 100 contracts trade. We should be at 310. No, you're not counting the open interest. So they will show the volume of 230, but this is where you could actually see very big volume, and this number actually go down. And this is why when we talk about our UOA service, unusual option activity, one of the things we look at was the trade size bigger than open interest.
Relative to the
Because now it shows it had to be, if it shows that this trade size was 10,000 and open interest was 1,000, it had to be an opening trade. It was nobody closing. All right, so hopefully it makes it a little clearer. So mathematically, what happens typically, if we look at time, maybe this is 30 days, usually your open interest is going to peak roughly at halfway. So if this is 30 days, at roughly 15 days, and then it will start to unwind, roughly speaking. So the thing to remember, all trades count towards volume. Open interest only increases when the buyer and seller are opening. It is possible to see large volume, but open interest drop. Okay, open interest decreases when what happens? They're both selling. I'm sorry, both closing. And if one is opening and one is closing, no change. So now that little refresher, open interest is 200 today, 100 contracts traded today. Open interest is 300 tomorrow. True or false? False. Now here's, to really clarify, could it be 300? It could if they were all opening, but just to say for sure, based on that information, it has to be 300 is false.
Yeah, look, let's just do something super simple here, just for 10 seconds. You know, I come in, I buy 100. I come in, I buy 500. Bill sells 500.
Yep.
Right. The open interest is, you know, none of us have anything. So the open interest is 500. That tomorrow we say, we changed our mind.
Changed our
Let's
minds.
unwind the trade. Right. Another 500 trade. He's out. I'm out. Done. Open interest is now 0. That's it.
Very good way to look at it, even though the volume was 500 on both.
Yeah. Yeah, don't get caught up in all the noise and the thousands of trades and all the people that are trading and all that. It's just who's opening, you know, what's opening, what's closing, what's it doing to the pool. The pool is the thing here. What's out there?
Exactly. That's the open interest. That's why we use that term. So volume is volume, always gets counted. Open interest, it depends, one of our favorite phrases, on whether both traders are either opening, closing, or one of each. So we hope that gives you some good insight into a very usually confusing topic for traders. And as always, we hope that you can join us for our Lunch Crunch Q&A for topics just like this. And we will see you next week.
Yeah. See ya.